A lot of talk this week about the car and kind of the hard hits that it's given drivers. I mean, have you experienced any of that with this new car? Is there an area that you feel could be worked on?
I mean, every hit that I've pretty much taken in the car hurts, so we hear it week after week after week. Seems slow, the response in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. But I think from my previous experiences, I've had some things that I've presented that were 3 years into having no response to. So from a driver's standpoint, so it's the things that I think that the drivers would consider most important may not rank as high on that priority list when everybody's not out there banging into stuff themselves. So, I think when you see Denny talking about being banged up and Kurt out, and you hear the hits week after week after week, and I know everybody's talking about making some changes, but haven't really seen any.
Joey Logano said it was because it costs money, and costs a lot of money.
Well, that tells you where we rank. Money is more important than the safety of the car. So that's the perception that seems to be coming with it.
It seems kind of counterintuitive too, because you would think with each year you would feel more safe, that the newer, the safer, or not.
Yeah, it's not better from a crashing standpoint. The hits are violent, and at Sonoma, I hit the back of the 2 car so hard that it locked my Hans out, and I kept going, and it was just over the hill. They checked up, and I hit him, and it locked my Hans. And every hit is violent, and some of the smallest hits hurt like they shouldn't hurt, and it's just everybody knows that the car is too stiff, and I think when you look at the crash data, it just doesn't represent what the drivers are feeling in the car. And it's just, they'll say, well, it was only a 15G hit. Well, I'm telling you, some of those 15G hits feel like 50 compared to what they have been in old cars. And like at Talladega or Daytona in that particular wreck, those hits were all hard. And, I think especially the ones where the car gets loose and goes to the right. When it's raining, it's hard to catch the car, but when you watch that video of all those cars slide and then just go immediately to the right, I can't even explain to you how violent that is. And then to have half the field or more piling into you, it's all too slow to me, and it's we talk about guys getting gassed out and things on a random, it's just random. And it's like I said earlier, I've been in a scenario where I had just tons of blood work and urine work and all the things presented as to what was inside my body with the specifics of what was in my bloodstream after the race. And I'm still 3.5 years into hearing from somebody.
NASCAR says that the crashes, that you're going faster and are wrecking at different angles now, and that's part of the
I
reason.
disagree. Yeah, I think their angles and going faster, and they don't feel the same, Bob. They are just blunt, violent wrecks every time you hit something, and they do not feel like they did in the old car. It's like we have taken the soft walls down. Every time we hit a car, it feels like hitting a concrete wall. Every time we hit a soft wall, it feels like hitting a concrete wall, and they're violent. There's no other way around it.
Well, what's the role of the team now compared to a year ago? Because if you were feeling worse after a wreck, you'd go to Zippy, right, and say, hey, what can we do? Now, can you go to anybody in your organization, or because
I go and just do my own thing and try to take care of myself, because like I say, with my experience, I didn't feel like I got anywhere. I just got delayed. I just got put off.
Define being gassed out. You use that expression.
Well, a lot of times you'll feel like there are a lot of fumes in your car, and in my opinion, the fumes are like, it's not carbon monoxide, because carbon monoxide's odorless. It's a lot of it is in my opinion, it's the octane boosters in the fuel and some of the oils, based upon the blood test that I had after the race a few years ago in Chicago. So I feel like that a lot of those fumes that are coming inside of the car, based upon the chemicals and things that were, in the blood test that I presented them, are coming from the fuel and the oil.
And you presented this several years ago?
I did, to a few different people. So that's why you asked me a few weeks ago. You're like, well, why don't you speak up more? I said, well, that's why, because the response for me has just been, there's been no response. So it's been pretty slow.
But you kept racing and kept your career going. You didn't think of, I'm getting out of here for my health.
Well, I think that, the intent of that was to decide, just to aid and, make sure your health was where you wanted it to be. But what was the path to resetting your body when you got done? And the doctors wanted to know what was inside your body so that they had an understanding of, okay, when you're done racing, at some point, this is going to be the detox that you need in order to reset your body so that it's back to a normal routine. Because right now, you've got all these things in your body that it's adapted to, and it's just become not immune to it, but it's definitely it's become used to it and adjusted to it. So that was the original reason why I'd done it.
And did you share it with other younger drivers?
I've shared it with a few of them. Yeah. I've definitely brought it up in a few meetings, and so.
The impacts, if it continues, is that something that might impact what you might decide to do once your contract's up, or as you look beyond 20?
About the wrecks.
Right.
Yeah, the wrecks are violent.
Is it something to the point that once your deal is up, it makes it easier to say I can walk away, as opposed to, if you're having more success, staying around a couple more years and doing a Mark Martin for 1 or 2 years?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. And I think, when you look at the car, it's definitely, I've wrecked more cars this year than I've probably wrecked 5 years in combined. So the wreck rate is way up compared to what it used to be, and spin outs, and so there's definitely a lot more contact and a lot more moments where you're slamming your head around and your body around, for sure.
I have to assume at your age, and I don't mean that pejoratively, but you're probably working with a nutritionalist, your own personal trainer and all that, just to make sure that you do handle this once you're out of the car to the best of your ability.
Yeah, well, and that's been something that I've tried to keep up with for years, in order to make sure that you understand your body, and trying to make sure that you know what's going on.
Can you use some sort of a filter that would take some of those chemicals out of your?
Well, we have our guys do a great job with the carbon monoxide filter and things that we have in the car, but every time I go into the infield care center, my carbon monoxide level is 0.0 or 0.1. So I just, I think that sometimes the way that the car, takes the air in, it's just really random with the gassing, the drivers getting gas side of it. So, but it's all too slow in my opinion. Whether it's the wrecks or the gassing or whatever it is, it always seems to kind of get shuffled away. I wish I knew. What did Joey say?
He said,
Go ahead, tell him.
I mean, he just said it takes time and it's cost and
Cost, yeah.
A lot of it comes to cost, would be my opinion.
But I mean, it's got to be frustrating. I mean, I'm sorry I'm late, but it seems it would be frustrating that this is race 27 of the season plus off-season testing of this car, and it seems like there might be some issues that could have been addressed earlier.
Well, I think it was everybody's original concern that the car was too stiff, especially the rear impacts. But we've learned that all impacts, the side impacts, are extremely rough. Small ones are extremely violent. So, I don't think there's anybody here that wouldn't tell you, holy shit, that hurt, after probably just about, it just feels way different than any wreck that I've ever experienced outside of hitting a concrete wall.
Denny did on Sunday. He said it felt like he, was in a heavyweight bout. Somebody had punched him in the chin.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Kurt?
Just via text.
When you wreck now, or when you know you're going to hit something, did you do anything differently within the car to kind of prepare that you weren't doing with the older car?
I don't currently. I'm probably going to start letting go of the steering wheel
Well, why? Someone else
because it keeps jamming my thumbs every time I hit something head on.
Early on, the drivers were expressing that they were worried about the car was going to be tough in crashes, et cetera. And then NASCAR gave more information to the drivers. This is before we even started the season. And then it calmed down. It felt like the drivers kind of understood, and it's back. Why did everybody calm down then for a while there, and now there's conversation because I guess more hits are happening?
Well, I think everybody calmed down because they thought something was going to be progressively getting better. And I think everybody's wound up now because it keeps happening. And now you've got one guy hurt, one guy that's kind of hurt, from Denny's standpoint. And it's just, I think everybody wants to know, like, what is the progression here? Like, how are we going to make this better? What's the plan? If it's not going to be this year, what's the plan for next year? What are we doing? Like, how are we going to keep guys from getting hurt? So I think everybody's a little bit frustrated that the progression is as slow as it has been.
Talking to Jeff Burton and the Drivers' Council, some other drivers have said that's where they let them.
As I said earlier, I'm not 100% in belief that is going to help. I mean, they're doing a great job with the driver council stuff but still haven't seen any real progression on making it better. So, and as I told you with my previous encounter, we're 3 years into I'm jaded. Great word, Bob. I'm jaded, so I just do my own thing.
He comes up with the word. You don't even have to say
I do my own thing.
Like the teams would work on this stuff, right? Like that's the thing I get.
If the teams weren't involved, it would be worse.
The teams you've seen it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even tell you how many. I mean, think about the guys' legs going to sleep, right? At the beginning of the year, the people who fixed that were the teams. They went to work on. Your suit's too big and too wrinkled, or your seat's too high and your pedals are too low. And we worked on that stuff for 12 weeks, 14 weeks. Like, I just got to the point 6 weeks ago where my pedals feel good. And I know that the other guys on my teams they've repositioned their seats, some of them 3 and 4 times, poured different inserts and different seat belts and all kinds of different things.
Some of that would be expected with a new car, right? But not to this extent.
Yeah, I don't think anybody thought it was going to be as violent as it is, but the crash data does not show it to be as violent as it is in the car, and I think that's where a lot of the frustration is. Like, from the driver's standpoint, these cars they wreck violently, and it hurts, and it's not like it used to be. It doesn't show a 20, 30 G impact. It may look the same, but it doesn't feel the same.
He took a hard hit last week. He's going to skip the Xfinity race just because he's feeling sore. You're a guy who's into cars and how they're built and everything. Do you have concerns about this car? I mean, NASCAR says it's just this. They're telling us the speed and the speeds are higher and the angles are different with this car, and that's what's causing.
I don't believe that. No way. We have had 30 years with that design of that older car, 40 years, whatever it is, right? And how many crashes have there been recorded and whatever else that you're now telling me we're at different speeds, at different angles? No way. No way. The crash that I was in, which was that same crash where I got up to the wall, laid on the wall, and then was brushing it basically, and then I hit the car in front of me and got hit from behind by another car, I felt it way more than I would have in the old car. And you can see that because the car crinkles or crushes a little bit, but it doesn't look that bad. It's like, oh, he's not that bad. He can continue on. Well, in a Gen 6 crash, I probably would have been done for the day. The radiator would have been knocked out of it. The rear bumper cover would have been knocked off of it, whatever. So the wrecks just don't look as bad because the cars and the drivers are carrying the brunt of it, and the car isn't. I guess I said that wrong, but you get my point.
Are you frustrated?
If you felt worse, you would tell Gibbs, and you guys might try to look at things to do to make it hurt less. Mm-hmm. Is that still the process, or now with the next gen, is it pretty much you guys just have to tell NASCAR and have them do the work to make it feel less harsh?
Yeah, we talk to those that are involved in the driver council and let them relay the messages.
Do you feel NASCAR's receptive to the issues that you guys are bringing to them about the safety of the car?
I'm not bringing issues to NASCAR. I'm bringing it to the driver council, so I don't know who to ask on that.
And most drivers are doing that, not just you.
Correct.
Right.
There's more.
Is there frustration at this is September now, 26 races plus off-season testing, and that there's still issues with this car, and that maybe these could have been resolved or something could have been done by now?
I mean, you don't really learn these things until you put them in race situations, right? Like, are you going to go out and could they have done more crash testing? Probably, but you're not going to learn. They didn't have the pieces to do it, right? So they had to get everything out there to get it on the racetrack to get going. So now we're learning more about it as we're in the line of fire, if you will. And so it's going to be a learn as you go. And the only problem with that is all the parts and pieces and components are all built and bought and designed and everything else. So now if we're making changes to it, what's that go back on? It goes back on the owners, and makes it more expensive for them to have to rebuy stuff that gets redesigned to make crashing easier.
I mean, there's been changes made, right? And some things fairly quickly, some things have taken some time, and some of them we didn't know were issues until it happened, right? The fire thing, right, with the exhaust pipe getting knocked into the rocker and all that stuff and the car catching on fire. Oh, didn't see that one coming, like that's a new one. And there's a quick fix to that. Cool. All right, got it. Is it completely fixed or is it Band-Aid? It's probably a Band-Aid for now. We probably can make it even better still, but it's better than not doing anything, right? And there's a lot of things like that you can look at with these cars and say, okay, the rear clip's too stiff. Obviously they are. That's not an easy fix, right? We've already softened up the clips one time before the season started with cutting slots in it and all that, right? And we still don't think we've gone far enough, obviously. So, the next step is not a quick, easy fix of just cutting slots in the chassis, right? Like it changes a lot in positioning of where things are. So it's not an easy, quick fix. So you just kind of got what you got for a few weeks until they can come up with an answer that's right for everybody, right? Because here's the bottom line too, guys. Safety is expensive, right? Like I hate saying that, but it's true. It's true.
Joey, how do you make peace with the idea of getting in the car week after week, knowing that there are, some of these issues out there?
Like I said, I mean, I do everything I can before I get in the car to feel comfortable. The things that I can control. Is our car not safe? I'm not saying it's not safe. I'm saying it's not as safe as the old car was, though, in some ways. In other ways, it's safer than the old car, right? You look at intrusion. I don't see anything getting inside the car as easily as the old car. So, as far as rolling over and the cage crushing on your head, I feel way, way, way better about that situation, which I lived that one in the old car and it was bad. Yeah. So I feel great about that. So any intrusion, I think we're in a better shape. So I think the top 10% of the wrecks, the big hard ones and the intrusion issues, I feel much better about that. It's the everyday hits that are more severe than it used to be. So it depends on how you want to look at it.
Yeah. Do you feel it's inevitable that somebody's playoff hopes kind of maybe dwindle due to a everyday hit like that with this new car?
I don't think so. But I mean, it can happen, right? It already happened for Kurt, unfortunately. So it can happen. You would never rule it out, but I really, really pray to God that's not the case for anybody.
In the past, when you've had hard hits and you'd say, we need to figure it out, Penske has their safety people, you could build stuff or check stuff. How has that process changed with the NextGen when I don't know whether you can't touch parts, right? Or you can't, what can you guys do to potentially either give suggestions or...
Yeah, I mean, there is some things we still control, and I will say that Team Penske does an amazing job at the safety standpoint, the safety stuff, and they care about us, right? And that goes from Roger to Tim to Mike and Travis all the way down. Like, these are items that are brought up in our competition meetings now. Can't say that really came up in competition meetings very often before. So they're looking for ways to not only fix what we can control as a race team, whether that's, like I said, head surrounds, different foams, different, being comfortable and making sure that everything is what you can have it, whether it's leg braces or pedals being the right heights, those type of things. And then what can we communicate to NASCAR as a group and say, this is a weak point of the car. We need to work on this as a group. And Team Penske, to me, has really been a leader in that, and not been holding back on safety updates because of cost. And to me, I am very grateful for that. Very grateful.